My name's Amy Porter, and I am one of the co-chairs. Barbara and I, as you know, there are 3 co-chairs. John Slivka is not here today. He is on paternity leave, so Barbara and I are covering the meeting, and we wish them all the best. So let me start with a call to order. It is 10:04. I have a couple of reminders I'm going to do, and then we can do introductions. So the first is the safety reminders that they ask us to do at the beginning of every meeting. So in the interest of safety, I would ask you to note the location of and the access to the exits here in the hearing room. The 2 doors through which you entered the room are the emergency exits, and they're marked with exit signs. In the event of an emergency, please walk quickly to the nearest exit. After exiting the room, go straight and exit the building by the main entrance, or follow the exit signs to one of the other exits. Please quickly exit the building and follow any instructions from the Capitol Police. Do not delay and do not return unless and until you are advised that it is safe to do so. In the event of a lockdown announcement, you're going to be staying here in the hearing room and stay away from the exit until the all clear announcement is heard. Everybody good with that? Okay, so that's reminder 1. Second is, when we're here today, if you're voicing, please make sure to use your microphone. We do have a sign-in sheet for board members, and we also have a sign-up sheet for folks who want to make public comment. Those who want to make public comment, it is a blue sign-up sheet, and the sign-in sheet for the board members, I think, is like a golden color. When you are speaking, can you just make sure that before you start talking at any point during the meeting that you identify yourself before you start speaking. So, I think those are all my announcements. Did I miss anything, Barbara? Okay. So again, it is great to see everybody here. We are going to go around and do introductions of the board members. So why don't we start with Daniel to my left.
Hello everyone, I am Danielle Pennell. Oh, you want me to stand up? Excuse me. Hi, again, my name is Danielle Pennell. I am the director of We the Deaf People, Connecticut chapter. Good morning. My name is Sandy Nzinga. I am currently president of the Connecticut Association of the Deaf, also known as CAD. Good morning. I am Jeff Braven, executive director from the American School for the Deaf. Good morning. Alexandra McGee, Connecticut Council of Associations Serving the Deaf. Hi. Hi everyone. I am Lisa Flaherty Vaughn. I am the president of the Deaf Blind Association community. Thank you.
I'm Susan Yankee, and I'm the parent of a child in a predominantly oral school.
Sherry Romblad, parent of a child in a American School for the Deaf.
Marlene Jack, Director, Deaf Hall of Hearing for Deans.
Mary Sue Owens, interpreting professional.
Christina Stevens, President of CRID, the Connecticut Registry of Interpreters for the Deaf.
Colleen Hales from the State Department of Education, Bureau of Special Education.
Elizabeth Cole, I'm the director of the Crack Soundbridge program, and I'm on the list here as an educator who works with children who are deaf or hard of hearing. I am actually retiring at the end of December, and thank you. I invited our new director to come. She's right back there, Kelly O'Connell. I just wanted to introduce you to her.
I'm Mary Quirk. I am a hard of hearing member, and I'm from the Office of the State Comptroller.
Hi, everyone. It's great to see so many familiar faces. I'm Representative Kathy Abercrombie of the 83rd District and currently the House Chairwoman of Human Services and hopefully still the Chairwoman of Human Services come January.
I'm Barbara Casson. I am on the advisory board as a deaf person. I'm also the co-chair.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, next on the agenda is approval of minutes. We did send those out. Is there a motion from the board? Yes, Colleen?
I just want to note that I was in attendance at the meeting and I am not listed on the attendees.
Yes, I apologize for that. Actually, Andrew picked that up and did mention that we had missed that. Sorry, I heard a beep. I guess they're still there because they're still typing what I said, okay. We will make that change. So with that change, are there other changes or anybody that would like to make a motion?
It's Jeff. I motion to accept the minutes with changes.
And Alexandra seconded?
And Alexander second.
Great. All in favor of approval? Anybody opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, minutes are approved, thank you. Okay, now to old business. We had two things that were in the minutes from the last meeting that we wanted to see if there are any updates on. One is related to driver's license and the other one is related to the SDE certification. So Barbara, I think you were going to speak to the driver's license?
Yes. This is Barbara speaking. If you recall at the last meeting, we made a proposal that deaf persons be allowed to receive their S license or their CDL license. I have been in contact with the National Association of the Deaf office, and they have been in contact with the State of Connecticut's Department of Motor Vehicles. They're trying to work with some internal staff to see how we can resolve this issue and then bring it to a larger group to review it through the statutes. Through the Connecticut state statutes and policy and regulations. So we will be able to I'll have more information at the next meeting. Right now, we're in the research stage with the Department of Motor Vehicles. This is Jeff. Something important that I wanted to add. Currently, we have a waiver application, which means that names have to be collected, sent to the Department of Motor Vehicles, and then it is sent to request the waiver, which is a very complicated process. So at this point, with the waiver, deaf people are allowed to drive with those licenses, but we would like to actually get rid of the waiver process because it is very complicated.
All right, so the second piece of old business was related to SDE certification. Colleen, I know Jonathan was working on that, so I'm not sure if you have any update.
Yeah, I do not have any other additional updates at this point.
Okay, so we'll reach out after the meeting and see if we can get some additional updates on that. Great, thank you. Any other old business? Technically, the legislative agenda probably should have been under old business. I'm sorry, put it in the wrong place, so. Oh, Barbara has one more.
Just quick, in regards to the group homes, there was some mention about bringing someone from DSS, the Department of Social Services. We have not identified anyone at this point, so I don't know if we want to bring a presenter in from the Department of Social Services for next meeting.
I think one of, and I think as a group we can talk about it.
Excuse me, DDS. Excuse me, that was an interpreter error from the Department of Developmental Services.
I think we had talked about, should we do it for this meeting, and then the same question will apply for our next meeting, I think we wanted to make sure we got the legislative agenda addressed first and then started to have state agencies come in. So if we are ready to make that decision now about whether we want them at the next meeting, or we can wait to see how we do getting through the legislative proposals today and then make that decision potentially. I can put it on the end of the agenda to come back to it if you want. What does the group think? Yeah, come back to it. And if I forget, feel free to jump in and remind me. I know this is not a shy group. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the legislative agenda. Barbara's going to introduce, we have it under new business. It's really old business, but. Did you have something you want to start with?
I think we'll start with the new business. Is there any new business? Do we have any new business? Daniel? I would like to propose a review of our bylaws. I have concerns about conflict of interest of members of the board, so I would like to discuss a review. I would like to add a recusal to the clause to allow members to vote without conflict of interest. Okay? Would you like to explain more as to what that means? Sure. Just as an example, if we are voting on something, I want to make sure that there is no one who is possibly a business owner or has some sort of other involvement. For example, in regard to the interpreting bill, if I'm working for an interpreting agency or an interpreting business, then I cannot be involved in the voting for the interpreting bill because I need to remain neutral. Any more discussion on that? Sandy? I think that is the purpose of having the variety of members on the board. We have 16 members and we only have one person who may be a business owner. The 16 other members can defeat that person's vote. I don't see a conflict of interest and I don't see a problem with that for a vote. If there was more members who may have conflict of interest in regards to the votes, I can see how that would be necessary, but at this point I think that we have a large enough variety of the members that we don't have to be concerned with that. Is there any more discussion? Daniel? I do believe that there should be an amendment to the bylaws. It will help reduce any issues of conflict of interest. It will just basically keep it clean. It will keep everything very clear. I have a concern that if we're discussing any new business or old business, I'm concerned about the ideas that are brought up. So it's just an amendment that I would like to add to the bylaws. Jeff, do you have a comment?
I'd like to ask Amy Porter if they could review the bylaws of other organizations to see if they have that kind of clause in their bylaws, and if there is something, perhaps that's something we can borrow from. But if not, it may be just standard within the state of Connecticut. So I would recommend and think it's fair to look and see what other agencies have.
Does the board feel okay with that? So the next step would be for us to go and do a little bit of research about other boards and how they handle that?
I would rather look at other boards and see how they handle it than make any decisions today and look a little further into it.
Okay, that's great, and I would just ask, I mean, we're happy to do that, I would just ask if you know of any boards. As you know, we built the bylaws a bit on the bylaws from the autism committee. If you know of others that may have some good language that you just happen to know of because you're on the board, feel free to email those to me, it would be helpful, but we'll also take a look.
Sandy, do you have another comment? Point of order. Daniel made the proposal, there is no second for a vote. Do we need to follow the process with a second and then bring to vote?
Absent the second, there isn't a motion before the body.
So there wasn't a second to the motion, we went right into discussion. And is there a second?
I'll second.
You'll second the, Daniel's motion to consider an amendment to the bylaws. That's Sherry. Okay,
Jeff?
Then I would assign that discussion to you all to research what other bills do have.
Madam,
There you go.
Madam,